Hi, I'm Jake from JacobTubeHD, and welcome back to the movie I want to talk about. The show that reviews movies about vacations and never takes a vacation. The anniversary tour continues as I celebrate more of the early episodes from the show, because an anniversary is the only acceptable opportunity to recycle old content. In the 4th episode of this show, I reviewed a bad film about the most unrelatable vacation anyone has ever seen. A vacation that no one in existence would ever have. I'm talking about using pubic hair as a brush. I'm talking about bathing in a septic dump. I'm talking about beating the shit out of a family that got fast passes at a theme park. And lastly, but certainly not least, I'm talking about a driver's seat that rotates while the fucking car is in motion. I'm still traumatized by that film. I still cry in the bathroom because of that. Franchise I love so much. I know it's been a year since I saw it, but it still hurts. Summer's almost over. I haven't had a vacation from this show all year. I've been doing this show as a whole for a year, and now I have to celebrate a movie I don't even like. I'm supposed to be happy celebrating my show. Instead, I'm reminiscing on a traumatic memory. You know what? I need to calm down. I'm in therapy for a reason. It helps me better handle bad movies. That's the only reason why therapy exists. Alright, Jacob, you gotta remember what she tells you. Whenever you encounter a bad movie in the wild, just give yourself something positive to go through instead. So let's think about it. There's 4 other vacation films that are way better than the one I reviewed last year, and they came out before that one too. Also, I could give myself a good vacation once I go through these films and finish unpacking my trauma. Oh, I like that idea very much. A much needed and deserved vacation is what I need to strive for. So let's jump into these vacations so I can get my own vacation. This is National Lampoon's Vacation. This film is about Clark taking his wife and kids on a family vacation to the theme park Wally World and decides to drive across the country to get there. Clark has planned the trip down to the last detail, but everything that can go wrong does go wrong as they do whatever it takes to get to Wally World. This film stars Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo and is directed by Harold Ramis. The film is inspired by an ill-fated trip to Disneyland that writer John Hughes went on at 5, which he originally wrote for the National Lampoon magazine. Now, this is the kind of vacation movie I was looking for last time. Obviously, the things that happen to the Griswolds can be pretty ridiculous, but a lot of them are based in some reality. Whether it's getting tired at the wheel or encountering extended family on the trip, all the craziness is rooted in a relatable experience that gets blown out of proportion for comedic effect. All of our main characters are very fun, and you can easily connect with this family. Clark can be very insane sometimes, but has the best intentions of just wanting to spend more time with his family. Ellen brings the reality into Clark's high ambitions. Even the kids are relatable as they're always bickering with each other. We even got an annoying relative who briefly joins them for the trip. The comedy is found in the scenarios and how the family reacts to how their road trip goes wrong, and every crazy situation is funnier than the last. Even the subtle jokes that don't come from the crazy scenarios get some of the biggest laughs in this film. We even have sweet moments where we're able to sit with this family outside of the chaos of their trip. All of these moments, big and small, allow you to root for these characters and hope they make it to Wally World. There's not much else to talk about with this film, but I really enjoy the soundtrack, especially the use of Holiday Road throughout the film, using it as the movie's theme song. It's a wild trip that's still relatable and funny 40 years later. National Lampoon's Vacation gets a 4 out of 5 dead-ons. Wow, therapy really does work. You know, I really enjoyed that, so I should keep going and then I get a vacation. I'm thinking I could go to New York or Los Angeles, maybe even somewhere fun like Montana. I would go somewhere in Europe, but I don't have a passport. I'm under the belief system that I don't need a piece of paper to allow me to travel the world. I should be able to go to another continent only needing one type of paper, which is money. And it wouldn't even be the right piece of paper because different countries have different currencies. If I get robbed in London, they can't take my American money. They wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Maybe I can live the experience of existing on a different continent through the next movie I'm reviewing. This is National Lampoon's European Vacation. This film is about the Griswolds winning a vacation to Europe on a game show. They land in Europe and race against the clock to see as many sights as possible throughout the different countries in Europe, which causes more disasters to occur one after the other. Our two leads returned for this film, and the kids got recasted. Also, John Hughes returned to write it. I think what we got here is a sequel that's on par with the original. And I don't think that fact hurts this film. The scenarios here are much more ridiculous than the last film, even though some bits clearly can't be topped from the last trip. But even with the more crazier scenarios like destroying Stonehenge, there's still that root of reality of your first time on another continent, like trying to figure out the right side of the road to drive on, or trying to communicate with someone who speaks a different language. The Griswolds are just as fun as they were the first time around, and you can connect with them just as well as the last film. The only thing about the characters that are slightly different is the personalities of the kids, but that's because we have different actors playing them, so they are going to portray these characters differently than the actors who played the kids in the last film. There's no significant new character here that stands out in the way Cousin Eddie did in the first film. The bike rider played by Eric Idle was the side character that stood out the most, as he's just a random recurring character that keeps getting injured by the Griswolds. My only problem this time around is that we don't have a destination to root for the characters to make it to. The film is mainly the Griswolds seeing the sights of Europe and destroying all of them they come across. Wally World was a destination the characters were heading towards, which gave the trip motivation. This time it's just traveling around Europe and seeing what crazy things happen to the Griswolds. It's not as exciting as the last film, but this sequel is still able to be funny and relatable, which is what you want out of these vacation films. European Vacation gets a 4 out of 5 pigs in a poke. That was nice experiencing what it's like for people to exist on another continent without getting kicked off of it. I typically get kicked off of continents for pooping in rivers, but I can't help myself. It's not my fault I can't find the bathroom in your country. We've learned about vacations to a theme park and vacations to a different continent. But now we can witness a vacation where you don't leave your house. It's the best kind of vacation. You don't get charged a dime to stay in your house besides bills and mortgage payments. But you can choose to ignore those. Also, this next one is a Christmas movie. I'm reviewing a Christmas movie in August. If I had a nickel for every time I reviewed a Christmas film in a month that isn't December this year, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. I guess I have to live with my choices of what seasonal films I review outside of the season. So let's dive into it and limit the options even further of what I can review during this year's Christmas special. This is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This film is about the Griswolds staying home for the holidays, as Clark invites both sides of the family for a Griswold family Christmas. Many things go wrong as usual, which is only worsened by obnoxious family members. Chevy and Beverly are back, kids got recasted again, Randy Quaid returns from the first film as Cousin Eddie, and John Hughes is back to write. It's not typical for the third film in a franchise to be the most popular one of the bunch, but I can totally see why this one gets more attention than the other two before it. The scenarios here go over the top like the other two films, but everything that happens here is rooted and starts in some form of reality. Even with the first vacation film, there was a good chunk of stuff that has wild and over-the-top roots, but there is none of that here. Clark is at his most relatable here, as he's desperately trying to give his family the best Christmas he can provide. He does go insane trying to do it, but all his actions as a character are rooted with that heart. You even have something to root for with Clark as he's trying to get his Christmas bonus to give his family a pool for the yard. Ellen and the kids are just as great as the other two films, and even the additional family members that are new here provide so much more humor in different scenarios when things start to go wrong. We even have the return of Eddie from the first film. He's so much more fleshed out here as he gets more screen time to really shine as a character. It combines the best elements of both films to make the perfect film for this franchise, because we even have recurring characters with their neighbors that get tortured by the Griswolds, similar to European Vacation. This film deserves the giant spotlight it gets for being a funny Christmas film that can connect with the whole family despite its R rating. Christmas Vacation gets a 4 out of 5 memberships to the Jelly of the Month Club. I really like getting to review a Christmas film without Elf being shoved down my throat by Hayden. It feels good to watch a Christmas film without something weird and crazy happening while reviewing it. The feeling won't last, but at least I got to do it twice this year, so that's gotta count for something. Well, there's one more vacation film I need to review, and my motto has always been, whenever you can't think of where to go on vacation to, you go to Vegas. Kids are only allowed to walk and breathe in Vegas, and adults can do anything they want in Vegas and immediately forget about it the next day. Since I'm 19 years old, I'm in this middle zone where I'm old enough to gamble all my money away, but not old enough to drink to forget about gambling all my money away. So while I wait until I'm legally allowed to drink, let's look at a film of people going to Vegas so I can hopefully see people gamble their way into bankruptcy. This is Vegas Vacation. This film is about Clark surprising his family with a trip to Vegas after receiving a hefty bonus check from work. A trip that was supposed to bring them together tears them apart thanks to the dazzling city, which is only made worse when cousin Eddie enters the picture. This film was made 8 years after Christmas Vacation, but has Chevy, Beverly, and Randy return and recast the kids again, but unfortunately doesn't have John Hughes back to write the script. I know I haven't been that critical of the past 3 movies because I genuinely love them. That's all about to change though, because this is the weakest out of the films I've reviewed today. It's not a bad movie though, as the scenarios and jokes are still fun, they just lose the relatability factor. I don't think a family trip to the City of Sin is usual, as there isn't much family activities to do in Las fucking Vegas. It's a great location for the Griswolds to mess up, but it's not a relatable location for audiences to see the reality the scenarios are supposed to be rooted in before blowing out of control. Like European Vacation, there's no real goal that the characters are trying to achieve, and it's just them exploring Vegas. I guess there's the fact that Clark and Ellen are planning to renew their vows, but most of the film isn't them planning a wedding, it's them fucking shit up in Vegas. Each member of the family is off on their own side quest, with Clark trying to win at blackjack, the kids trying to do stuff they are not legally allowed to do, and Ellen falling in love with Wayne Newton for some reason. There's not a massive sense of that family unit when everyone is trying to go off on their own mission. Eddie is still as fun as ever though, because he's always been a ridiculous character and it's no different here. It's still a fun movie, but it loses that charm the other 3 films had that made them special. Vegas Vacation gets a 3 out of 5 women Wayne Newton tries to seduce. I finished reviewing the movies, but I usually get tricked by these things. I've been doing this show for a year, so I know that I have to do an overview and then I get a vacation. Overall, these films can get very crazy, but every crazy moment has its root in a relatable experience anyone on a family vacation has been through. Even when characters are at their most insane, they're all rooted in good intentions and all end up coming together to form a strong family. My favorite is Christmas Vacation for being the most relatable, the funniest, and for having the biggest heart. My least favorite is the one I reviewed last year for taking everything I love about this franchise and throwing it all away for low-hanging fruit. It's over and now I can finally go on vacation. I haven't had any time to relax all year and I've had a crazy fucking year. So I'm ready to take my break because I deserve it. Oh, I just realized August isn't over and I still need to finish this anniversary month. You know what? It's like my therapist said. I need to think positively. Positivity is hard to achieve, but it's better than negativity. My therapist said that to me when I was crying in the bathroom over a bad movie. That time it wasn't even worth crying over. I forget the movie I was crying over, but I remember it just being mediocre. I got a few more of these anniversary episodes, and once I'm finished with those, then I can take a vacation. I can live with that. I guess the next episode I can celebrate is episode 7. I did Scooby-Doo in that episode. I grew up with that film, so I would have grown up with any film related to it. I got this. I believe that I can review movies for the next 3 weeks, even though I've been doing it for a year straight. I can achieve anything I put my mind to. And I can put my mind to a lot of things.